This is an installation video of the Advanblack Tour Pak light bar. I chose the Advanblack Tour Pak light bar because of the type of LED lights it uses. Now, there is a stock Harley-Davidson light bar that comes stock on the Tour Paks of the Limited. And you can purchase that stock Tour Pak light for other Tour Paks that Harley-Davidson sells. It comes with the attachments to it to put the antennas for the AM, FM, and weather channel, and on the other side, the CB radio antenna. Now, Harley-Davidson also sells an accessory light bar that blends in and does not have the antenna mounts. It also is capable of the sequential turn signals, but it uses individual LEDs, and I don't like the way it looks. Now, Custom Dynamics has come out with a light bar to replace the stock Harley-Davidson light bar on the Tour Pak, but it also uses the LEDs. And I'm going to show you some pictures showing what they look like. Now, I chose the Advanblack because it does not have the individual LEDs for the brake lights. It has LED bars for the brake lights and the brakes, turn signals. And I'll show you right now what they look like and why I chose Advanblack. Now, the differences between the Advanblack Tour Pak light, which is right here, are obvious from the Custom Dynamics lights. I really like them. If you notice, they have those. It is LED, but it's a full tube LED type thing. And I think it looks better than the other one. Now let me show you what it looks like with the brake lights on. Now this is the Advanblack with the brake lights on. You see it has a solid LED light, which is very distinctive from the regular running lights. And you'll see when I get done installing the one on mine, you better see what mine looks like. So now we're going to see what the Custom Dynamics looks like and why I'd rather have the Advanblack than Custom Dynamics. Now this is the Custom Dynamics light bar for the Tour Pak. This is pictures taken directly from the Custom Dynamics website. Now it has the tube LEDs, and the difference between this and the Custom Dynamics is the Custom Dynamics wraps around, similar to the Hellcat, the Chrysler ones. It loops around. Now this does have, the Custom Dynamics have a third strip in the middle, but let me show you the reason why I don't like it when you put the brakes on. Now this is the Custom Dynamics light bar with the brake lights on, and you can see individual LEDs show up, and I personally do not like it looking like that. The LEDs, of course, are brighter than the tubes, but a tube runs between the LED brake lights, but I prefer the solid tube of the Custom Dynamics. It just looks better. I think it's a little bit brighter too. But it's personal preference on my part. So if you like the third light running for the running light, and then the individual LED lights for the brake lights, then you can get the Custom Dynamics. Of course, the Harley-Davidson does the same thing with the individual LEDs. But they, apparently on the latest one, they can actually be sequential. But, hey, I got sequentials on my turn signal, on my saddlebag, so I'm happy with this. And when I get it installed, you'll better see the difference that it makes with the Custom Dynamics.
Well, this came in the mail today. Let's open it up and see what it is. Well, this looks interesting. Let's move everything else out of the way. It's the new light bar for my Tour Pak that came from Advanblack. It includes the wiring harness. We're going to need to go out there and put it on. Looks like it's going to be a fun day.
Now, when it comes to the wiring harness, the Advanblack comes with a harness so that you can run a wire from here, drill the hole, and run into the seat to power the light that gets installed back here. Now, Advanblack's Tour Pak comes with this plate which just covers the center. It supports it real well, but it leaves the troughs open. Now, what I used was the factory Tour Pak, which covers that trough. Because that way I don't show at all, even though I don't have a liner in there. Now, the harness itself, like I said, comes in two parts. It comes to the part that goes from here down underneath. It's made to plug in on this side. That is the brake side, the clutch side, not the throttle side. Now, I have the Custom Dynamics lights that go under the Tour Pak here on the sides that do the combination run, turn, brake lights. Now, the wiring for the Advanblack is just the standard plug used for just running lights for the standard lights on the Tour Pak. Now, since I have the Custom Dynamics unit, they won't work as run brake lights, turn signals, if I use the Advanblack wiring harness. So, I still have to use the Custom Dynamics wiring for the Tour Pak lights on the side, so I can have them running brake lights, also turn signals. Now, the trouble is, Custom Dynamics has you coming on the throttle side for the wiring. And the wiring harness for the Advanblack light to plug in here is not long enough. If you plug it in the standard plug here that comes to Advanblack or the Custom Dynamics, to reach all the way here to plug in for the light. So what I did is I got plenty of room in the troughs under the plate, so I just bundled it up. Now I left this one long one because I'm going to come over here, and one of these days I might add the speakers and also add the auxiliary power port, which mounts to the speaker mounts. And if I do that, I already have the power plug for it, so I can just plug it in, no problem. So I bundled these together, as you can see, cable tied them. They'll sit down in here. This will sit over here, and I'll cable tie these down, and I'll put the plate back in. It'll cover it up. You'll never see it. As you can see, there's plenty of room in the troughs. So if you have the Advanblack plate, you'll still have plenty of room, and your liner will cover it all up. But I have mine set up so the liner doesn't matter. I have the factory plate. So let me go ahead and get these plugged in. Now, one of the reasons I did this is I wanted to test it and make sure the wiring worked before I sealed everything up. Because it wouldn't do any good if I sealed it up and it didn't work. I had to take it all back apart again. So let me show you how it looks. Now, as you can see, all I did is I plugged in the plug, run down here, and I was sitting across like that because I don't have anything drilled yet. I turn the lights on, and you can see the Advanblack light lights up real nice. Now, I hit the turn signal, and you can see it flashes. Now, see, you can see my Advanblack one does that too, or the Custom Dynamics lights flash on those still, but the turn signal works. See, I put the forward flashes on, nice and bright, and the brake lights. Now that I know all the wiring works, I can now disconnect this stuff and put the plate back in. I'll show you what it looks like when I get done. Now, one thing I did notice is when I went to put this full plate back in, if you have an Advanblack plate, you ain't got no problem because it only covers this center section. But I'm using the factory plate, which covers the trough. And of course, trying to put it on, the wires kept popping out and everything else, trying to get it done. So what I did is I took duct tape, and I duct taped the connectors down into the trough. So when I put the plate on, it'll go in with no problem. Of course, I have one bolt in it holding the Tour Pak in place, because if not, this Tour Pak will flop all over the place and might scratch something. So just remember that if you take that off. If you take the Advanblack plate off, you got to put a bolt in there too. But if you have the Advanblack plate, you don't have to disconnect the Tour Pak from the rack. It'll stay in place no matter what. So now let me get this plate in there and I'll show you what it looks like when it's closed up. Now I have the plate back in. It's bolted down solid. Here's the wiring. It comes out right here under this little trough. There's a little space here you can come out of. Comes out, that's what plugs in the light. Of course, over here I also have this light here, so I can plug in the auxiliary power outlet if I want to get it. And like I said, the factory plate from Advanblack would just sit just like this, and this would not be covered. But I like the extra because also the screws right here that hold the side marker light on. So now we need to lay out and drill out the mounting points for the light itself, and we'll get right to it. Well, now I've got the marker, the pattern now for drilling out the holes. This is the hole for the plug, and of course the individual screw holes I need to drill out. Now I'm going to mark those. Now this is made for the 2014 and later Advanblack Grand Tour Pak, also the Chop Tour Pak, it will fit that also, and the stock Harley Davidson Tour Pak and the Razor Tour Pak. They will fit, and this is the pattern that made to fit that type of Tour Pak. Now, if you have a 2013 or earlier Tour Pak, this won't work. You'd have to figure some way out to drill the holes to put it in there. This is made for the Rushmore type Tour Pak for later use on those models 2014 and later. So now I'm going to mark these and drill them out according to the instructions. Now, I want you to notice something I did different now. I had the tape up there marking where it was, but what I did also is to make sure I can see it real good. I got some painter's tape, but I put underneath it on the Tour Pak to mark it so that I can see where it is. Now, one thing I did to make sure the painter's tape stuck real good, because the Tour Pak I've been using polish and wax to get it all waxed up, is I got some isotropic alcohol to clean where the tape would be so the tape would stick, because painter's tape don't like to stick to wax. So I put that on there. Now I'm going to get a black marker so I can mark these real good. Matter of fact, that's a little large right there. I need to move that over a little bit more because it's not covering the hole real good. But I'm going to mark these with a black marker so I can see it real good. And I'll show you what it looks like when I get them drilled. Now, the instructions, which are really full color, nice instructions, say once their holes are marked, drill out a pilot hole with a 1/8 inch drill bit. I'm going to do that right now. And then it says to re-drill it using an 11/64 inch bit to get it to the proper size for the screws. And of course, then it also says to use the same pilot to drill the corners out here. And you can use a Dremel or whatever. You can actually drill individual holes to try to make it out and then use a file to file it down. Or a Dremel to make the hole to get that in there. Now, I've seen videos and stuff where they say it really is not that important to have it looking real good because it's under the light, but I want to make sure it looks good. That's why I'm leaving the tape on there to help protect the paint as I drill. So I'm going to drill these out, and I'll show you what it looks like when I get done. Well, I drilled out the holes. Then I got the 11/64 inch bit and put them out to the screw size. I drilled 4 holes in the corner for the cutout. Then I got my Dremel tool out, the cutoff wheel. Now, one thing to remember, this is that plastic. So as you're using the Dremel, it's going to melt that plastic as it cuts. The cutoff wheel cuts in there. So get ready for that stuff to go all over the place. Now, let's see how it fits in there. It fits up there real good. It matches up. Now, the hole is slightly larger than the mount. It's got rubber base around this, so it'll help seal up across this. Here's the screw holes for the screws to go in. So let's put it in and see how it looks with it plugged in. Now, I put the screws in, but I did not tighten them because I wanted to check something. I wanted to check and see how it fits in here. I was going to look at it and go to plug it in. If you notice, this clip is hitting the side of the hole. So I had to take it out, use my Dremel, and just bring this out just a little bit to make sure it clears this plug real good. That's why I didn't tighten any of these screws down. I put the screws all in the proper place so that it's up there tight. And of course, it's tight up against here, basically tight. But it needs to be, had a little more room right there. So I'm going to get my Dremel tool out and I'm going to make it a little bit wider. Well, I now have them installed. I tightened the screws down and I used some dielectric grease on this plug before I plugged it in. Now, one thing I will warn you about, of course, it's got the pattern to put these holes in there, and this hole was exactly perfect. This hole was slightly off, and this hole was slightly off here. So I had to make it just a little bit longer to the outside, just to squeeze in, because I could see right down through here to line it up to get it to go in the mounting hole. These holes were perfect on each side, and they worked out real good. Now, let's look at it from the outside with the lid down. Now, with the lid down, you can see this is perfect right here. It blends in. I have the smoke lens, so it just appears the black light. Now, I'm going to turn the power on. Let's show how it looks. With all my lights, of course, I have the Custom Dynamics turn signal lights. I have the Custom Dynamics sequential turn signals on my saddlebags. And of course, Advanblack's light. As you saw from the other comparisons between Custom Dynamics light bar and Advanblack's light bar, there is a difference between the two. Now, put the brakes on. Nice and bright. Turn signal. Now, some people will say that they want to get the one from Harley-Davidson because they can make sequential. But I don't like the individual LEDs. Of course, that's also why I didn't get the Custom Dynamics. Don't like the individual LEDs. With this, it's got a solid light right here, which really I think makes a difference in the way it looks. So, now that you've seen how to put it on, it turned out real good. It's sealed up. It's on there solid. It looks good. And of course, I couldn't be happier. So, if you want to get this light bar and put it on yourself, of course, you can get the Harley-Davidson light bar. It's made for the Tour Paks that already have a light bar in them because it doesn't have any patterns for you to make the holes. Of course, if you want to get the Custom Dynamics, it doesn't come with a pattern either. Just kind of guess at it, I guess. I don't know about that. But the one from Advanblack comes with the pattern. Now, I use the pattern, but I put the 3M tape things back on it so I can save it for later use. In case I want to do something later, or I have a riding partner, somebody that wants to put one on theirs. And the advantage is, since this bolts onto a stock Harley-Davidson Tour Pak, it's the same if they get a Harley-Davidson one, or they get the Custom Dynamics light bar, or the Advanblack light bar. The pattern is the same, of course, for Rushmore. That's 2014 and later. It will not be the same if you have the 2013 and earlier Tour Pak. It's a different type of Tour Pak, so don't worry. So, if you like this video and you like seeing some of the things I do in my video, please like it. It helps to show YouTube that it's worth watching. Maybe they'll start recommending other things. And if you want to see when I'm going to do something else, subscribe. Subscribe to my video channels. And of course, if you hit the bell, it'll notify you when I upload a new video. So, you guys ride safe, and I'll see you on the road. Well, one thing I forgot to put in there when I did the screws, I want to suggest that you tighten the screws in that light bar by hand, because you got to remember the screws are going into plastic, and if you use a driver to tighten them down, you might strip it out. But as it starts getting tight for the very first time, the screws do get hard to get in, and you might end up also worming out the Phillips bit on the top of the screw. So my advice is use the screwdriver by hand to tighten it in the very first time. So I'll see you guys on the road. Ride safe.